Now, because of the iniquities of an unfair taxation system, of a coercive taxation system, I'm seriously suggesting that a taxation system should be voluntary. That every time a politician goes to the people, he's basically, or she is basically, creating an attractive investment in the interests, the ongoing, accountable interests of the people. That'd be like an investment, that they be suable, that they be protected, that they do what they say they're going to do. At the moment we have politicians and those who stand behind the politicians, the oligarchic forces, who basically game the entire political system and ripping everybody else and lining their own pockets. We have corruption to the max. You could say all our governments are puppet governments, are corrupt, are criminal games, if you like. That the process of election and parties and so on is just a fraud, a complete and utter fraud. No one for a moment doubts, you couldn't possibly be considered an intelligent person to think that Mr. Obama, for instance, or George Bush, or any of them, were anything but puppets, despicable puppets for forces behind the scenes. Now, I'm not going into that. There are many people who have gone into that. There's a huge scope of action for that. I'm not particularly interested in outlining the Bilderbergers and the Trilateral Commission, all that kind of thing. No doubt those things go on. Nevertheless, they are subject to the forces of population economics. But something might interest them, in that I propose, for the iniquities of the taxation regime we have, where 50% of the people. You see, if you go beyond 50%, basically you're cannibalising, or that people, move over, and basically you could end up with 60% or 70% or 80% of the people literally living off the productive capacity, the economic inventiveness of 20%. Is that right? Is it even healthy for the 80%? I suggest it is not, and that we should reverse the terms of the original taxation declaration of the American Action of Independence, where they said no taxation without representation. So we reverse that and we say no representation without taxation. And what I mean by that is you've now got two worlds. You've got 50, 60 or 70% world that are tax takers, no matter how disguised, they're tax takers. And over here you have a group of people who are tax makers. So really it's a conflict between tax makers and tax takers. And I say that if you're a tax maker, and tax takers then must shuffle back and become tax makers. So that group grows. Don't think it's a 20% grouping. Only tax makers should vote. That's my proposal. That you're a net tax maker. And maybe people who pay $100,000 in taxes or $10,000 in taxes should have 2 votes. Or maybe somebody who pays $100,000 should have 3. And somebody who pays $1 million in taxes should have 4 or 5. Something like that, you see. Some sort of slightly increasing number. Not a great thing, but enough to say, hey, otherwise you have a culture where the beggar, the totally useless person, the person who's dragging the economy down, is wagging the dog. The tail is wagging the dog, which is absurd by any measurement. Also, it involves a huge degree, we must throw this back into the culture, of trust. That the rich are not out to just grind your face. And if they are, well, let it be seen that they are. At the moment, we've got politicians grinding our face, but they are hidden behind the scenes, and there's no accountability. know, they're nameless, faceless, chinless wonders, hopeless. You know, it's a cowardly, horrible civilization and culture we're involved in. You know, how could you be a man or a person or an individual of any kind of heart or mind or freedom or liberty to continue to stomach or to accept this state of affairs? Well, the collapse, of course, sweeps all that away anyway. So that's, you know, there's a collapse, or you could volunteer to manage downgoing and reconfigure the society in the ways I'm suggesting. You know, polygamy, taxocracy, and definitely, you know, aspects of democracy are over, which I'll refer to in the following video, in the next video. We plainly cannot continue as we have been doing. You know, all governments operate two sets of books, and you vote on one set of books, but the other book is invisible to you, and each party or government inherits the invisible book, you know, of the body of investments. You know, you don't really think that your taxes pay for your pension, do you? Taxes do not pay for your pension. You know, if you've paid taxes all your life, that you know, that amounts to a couple of $1,000s or something, or $10,000 or $20,000. But you're going to receive $60,000 or $100,000 or $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000 worth of pension and medical care and all kinds of things. What's that paid for? By the money, the taxes you paid. Okay, some of it immediately is paid back in benefits and so on and so forth, but basically it's a pool of investment money. And so it takes part in the markets, whether you like it or not. And since the markets are going to go down in the West, it's all gone anyway. So we're going to have to reconfigure our society in the opposite way from what we have at the moment. Probably directly opposite. There will be no benefits. There will be no pensions. There will be no accident insurance. Taxes. Well, the black market will blossom because you simply won't be able to get anything under the terms of coercive taxes, fees and charges. It just wouldn't be possible. So the only way you can procure anything that you might actually want in a communistic system, you see, a tax coercive system is basically communism by stealth. Even though you outwardly live in a democracy, the regime is behaving exactly like a mafia mob or an illegal regime. You know, it's all done behind the scenes. Now, when there's a collapse beginning, then the aberrations are beginning, the anomalies are beginning to be seen in terms of the unfair practices of our politicians, in particular lawyers, as another group, and any other group handling large sums of money, the creaming off, you know, city councils, big corporations, and so on and so forth. It's all being revealed. And this is just a sign of what they're doing, you know, polis bolis on a very large scale behind the scenes. You know, the public cannot be alert all the time, so politicians get away with a huge